What's up, guys? Hey, how are we doing? So I've been in a little bit of a rut lately. Ever since the FBI knocked at my door, I've had so much drama, and a lot of the videos have been geared towards that. I'm taking a break from that, but geez, I'll tell you what, I understand why they're thinking of unaliving me. The more I dig into this, and eventually I'll uncover all of it for you guys, but this thing with the AMA, wow, I'm mind blown. It's stuff that I didn't even think was possible. The amount of fraud that's going on is just, I can't even believe it's real. I'm taking a second. That's why I'm taking a break from it. I just need to take a break, uncover it, and be able to present it in the right way. So for now, I'm going to take a little break on that. Oh, and I did make a small mistake in my last video. So while I announced Supercross ticket prices went up 300%, and they did at both Anaheim rounds, other rounds went up different rates. Some went up a little bit, some went up a lot, some didn't go up. So just so you know, that was a little bit off, but I stand by everything in that video. These managers still need to take a stand, get together, and get their piece of the pie. Thank you to all the members. I really appreciate all you guys that have joined, and everybody that's joined is automatically entered to win the Coach Rob CRS helmet. And this show is also, this is brought to you by Nano-Extreme. Nano-Extreme is the best pain cream that I've ever used, and I've used a lot. I've had ibuprofen creams, I've had all sorts of stuff because I don't like taking pills. This is the only thing that really has worked. Like, my shoulder genuinely feels better. I have not been able to sleep on my right side for a long time. I'm sleeping on my right side again. Yeah, it's not magic, but it feels like magic. Like, it's crazy. My shoulder feels so much better. If you have some lingering pain, and I know you do because most of us do, try this cream. Head over to Nano-Extreme, use code Cooksy at checkout, and you get buy one, get one free. Make sure you put 2 in your cart, and then when you use the code, it takes the price of 1 off. So hit up nanoextreme.com. And don't forget to head over to the Coach Rob store. Coach Rob has an app to determine your sweat rate. And by determining your sweat rate, they know how to build your energy fuel, the drink that rehydrates you, but they do it specifically, custom formula to you and your sweat rate. Talk about scientific energy drinks. There you go. And I wouldn't necessarily call it an energy drink. It's like a performance drink. Head over to the Coach Rob store and get your custom energy fuel. So what I'm going to do this off season is I'm going to go through a lot of these riders, talk about their 2024 season, kind of recap how it went, rate their season, what they liked, what they didn't like, where it goes from here, what to expect from them moving forward. And I'm going to start with Hayden Degan. He had a wild 2024. So without further ado, let's get into this.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
So the beginning of the Supercross season feels like it was, to me, it feels like 3 years ago, but it was only like 8 months ago. Hayden Degan, remember, we're hearing all those rumblings in the off season. People are saying, we hear he's hurt. He's got a broken arm. He's got a broken wrist. He twisted his knee. There was all sorts of rumors floating around about his injury. He shows up at the first round and says, nah, I just sprained my wrist. Straight up lying about the injury. But we all found out later on what it was. It was a broken navicular. He had surgery about 4 or 5 weeks before the first round. It was stable. Apparently, according to them, and I don't know how much to trust because they're never real honest when it comes to these injuries, they did a double screwed surgery in that navicular bone or scaphoid, whatever you want to call it. But I've never seen this surgery. I have broken this bone and they put 1 screw in mine, but he had 2 screws put in and it was stable, but it is painful. Even though you're racing and it's stable, it is still painful, and it's something he's had to deal with all season. But the savage that he is, he completely ignored that pain, went out there and looked as good as he's ever looked. He was looking like a guy who was going to win that Supercross championship, but it all came crashing down in that first turn with Seth Hammaker. Seth came in a little too hot and creamed most of the field, and Hayden was caught up in that. It was a nasty crash. So Hayden makes his triumphant recovery with the broken wrist, comes out and only gets a 16th in the first round. That had to sting a little bit. At that point, he easily could have said, all right, I'm going to take some time off and let this wrist just completely heal and come out for outdoors. He didn't. He came back at the second round, and Austin Forkner was looking like the Austin Forkner of old. He won the first round, he was winning the second round, and Hayden just dug deep and put pressure on him and caused that horrific crash that Forkner had. And yes, the pressure from Deegan caused that crash. I don't care what anyone says. If Hayden wasn't pushing him, he could have probably backed it off and probably wouldn't have had that crash. But Hayden was right there ready to pounce, and he had just put in some fast laps and was making a charge at Forkner. So after that, it was like, oh wow, all those points he lost at round 1, they don't look so bad now. It looks like it's wide open. Looks like this is going to be Deegan's year again. But they go from there to Daytona, and Deegan had that crazy step off the bike crash on the triple jump in practice. I cannot believe he didn't get seriously hurt on that, but it did hurt him. His tailbone was bruised. His whole body was banged up. It was a nasty looking crash, and I can't believe he was even able to race and salvage a 4th place that night. But where the real damage was done was the next week. They went to Birmingham, and he had a bad round. He hadn't ridden all week. He'd been sitting on a donut, sleeping on his belly because his butt was hurt. I mean, you can't jump off from that high, land on your ass, and not have some sort of repercussions. As tough as he is, that still affected him. And he went out there, he had a bad start, and then, he went off the track, and he did the exact same thing as 2 other guys and didn't get penalized. Or they didn't get penalized, he did, which is complete BS. I think they were truly punishing him for what he did to Cody Schock in the last turn, where remember he sent Cody Schock off the track, breaking his collarbone. That's what I think they were actually penalizing him for, but they went back and got him for cutting the track a couple positions, so he ended up like 9th. So now he's way in a points deficit. And Tom Vial had won both Daytona and Birmingham, so he's looking really good. It's still not really over though, so Deegan has 2 shootouts left. He's got a lot of races, but he's got to start making up points. He just couldn't do it. He was getting seconds. He was getting thirds. His body was banged up. He just couldn't find that intensity we saw towards the end of the year. He couldn't find that mid-season in Supercross. He found it, but he didn't find it until the final round, and it left him just a little bit short on the championship. At Salt Lake, he took a move on Vial. He took him wide, talked trash, did everything he could to win that championship, but he still came up 3 points short. Tom Vial ended up winning that championship. Clearly, Deegan was fired up and found his groove, and that's the Hayden Degan we kind of expected. Without an injury, that's what he looked like, and that's what I expect in 2025 in Supercross, and he's absolutely the favorite in 250 Supercross, whatever coast he's on. But after punking Vial at Salt Lake, and then he went out and just punked Levi Kitchen at the first round at Paula, even with all that drama, another off-track excursion where they went into a protest and they didn't announce the results for a couple hours later. Then he had that helicopter crash at Hangtown, still went 1-1. And he also won at the track at Colorado where we didn't think he could win. That was the one track we thought he was vulnerable. He did lose to Ty Masterpool at High Point, but it was close, and he was still so far out in points at that moment. The first real hiccup we saw was Redbud. He had a rough day at Redbud, and it looked like the season kind of got to him. And then he had a little bit more of a slump that continued into Millville. And then from there, he got to Washougal, where he absolutely, once again, Tom Vial looked like a guy who was fired up, ready to get back in this, and Deegan just ripped his soul out. From there on, that championship looked clearly like it was going to be Hayden Degan. Hey guys, check out Epic Garage Designs. Travis Ogburn has the coolest garage stuff. Cabinets, flooring, slat wall, you name it, he has it. He's a motocross enthusiast that built this stuff kind of based around our needs. So check out epicgaragedesigns.com. And if you need goggles, hit up Ride Strap. They got the patriotic goggles, they got glasses, they got your Red Pill shirt, and look for Chris and I. We will be at the World Supercross Opener in Vancouver, Canada. Hit up ridestrap.com. If you're shipping anything, use Precision Transport. Precision Transport is a trucking company that puts a lot of emphasis on customer service, tracking numbers, and reasonable pricing. Hit up pretransport.com for all your shipping needs. They went to Unadilla. That's the first time I saw championship mode Hayden Degan, where he went in there, he knew he had a huge point lead, and he just salvaged. Then he goes to Budds Creek, dominates that first moto, wins the title, and then kind of has this emotional letdown and doesn't win the overall, but I mean, he's champion. That's the first major championship besides SMX, but that one's a weird one. This is the first one that really historically matters as of right now. Hayden Degan is your outdoor champion. So he goes to Ironman, has a rough first moto, comes out in the second moto, and just demolishes everybody. And that's the form he kept for the rest of the season through SMX. SMX, he got to defend his first championship. In SMX, he goes out there and wins the first 5 motos. And then he made a run at Pierce Brown towards the end of that last moto. But once again, he understood the championship was more important than one race, and he didn't throw it away. Man, this kid has really matured before our eyes. But coming into 2025, there's so much expectations on him. Anything less than 3 championships, he's going to win the Supercross, the Outdoor Defend, and then SMX one more time, or it's considered a disappointment. That's the expectations we have on Hayden, and that's a lot. And that's why I don't blame them for skipping the designations. He has to stop get that hardware removed from his wrist, recover, and he's got a big 2025 task in front of him. It's one thing to win these the first time, you know, when you're kind of expected, but not really. But now he's the clear favorite, and that's hard. I have no doubt that he can deliver, but it's a long season. He's going to have to stay healthy for a long time, and to get through all 3 championships unscathed, that's pretty hard to do. If he does win all 3 championships, I look for him to defend his Supercross title in 2026 and then go to a 450 for outdoors in 2026. That's kind of what I think they'll do, and that's kind of, I think, the loose plan, but we're going to have to see how it plays out. Maybe if he wins all 3 championships, he might just go and just do 450 Supercross in 2026, but he is so young. That's something we're going to have to wait and see. And honestly, I would just, at this point, I'm going to defer to whatever Brian Deegan says. He knows his kid 100 times better than I do. And every single time I give him advice, it's wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and just say, yeah, Brian, whatever you say, I'm going to back you. And if you say go 450 tomorrow, I would say, okay. Yeah, that's where I'm at with Brian Deegan and how he understands his kid. They have managed everything perfectly. So who am I to judge? Anyway, guys, let me know if you like these recaps and kind of futures for the different riders. I'm going to run through. First, I'm going to start with all the championship guys, Chase, Jet, Tom Vial, RJ Hampshire, and then I'll start going to the Jason Andersons, the Levi Kitchens. We got a long off season, so I'm going to fill you up some content and just kind of remind you who guys are, what they did, and what to expect from them in 2025. So thanks, guys. Here's your member of the day.